states, that's basically them announcing that they are running for president. Well, he's done it again. He's definitely announced that he is running for president because he's done two things days apart. On March 5th, Greg Abbott, he pushed some kind of law in Texas that would make it against the law to engage in big tech censorship of Texas citizens. I don't know how that bill works. There's no way it's going to pass. There's no point in even thinking about it. But he also took a stand against anti-Semitic platforms, which do not represent Texas values. Greg Abbott is taking a stand against big tech censorship and also, presumably, Gab and Parler.
He loves taking stands, this guy. Metaphorically, of course.
Right. You know, I'm here to stop big tech censorship and also to silence dissident conservative, social media. And this is where Republicans are at. But this just shows that he's running for president. And there's actually a nice video of Greg Abbott sitting next to two other people. I'm not really sure who they are.
His nurses, I think.
Right. And he's sitting in front of the American flag, the Israeli flag, and the Texas flag.
Ugh, the Holy Trinity.
Those are the three pillars of American identity.
That's the Republican Holy Trinity.
That is the Republican Holy Trinity.
Do you think America will ever have a president in a wheelchair?
If
possible?
You're right. You know how we know that Greg Abbott will never become president? It's because the press isn't running a conservative campaign to disguise the fact that he can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did for FD.
Do you think if he became a serious contender for the presidency, how long do you think it would take before they start nibbling around the edges of implying we can't have some fucking guy in a wheelchair be president? And how long do you think it would take before they go from that to full-blown saying we can't have some fucking cripple be president?
Okay, I don't think they're going to say it, but you know what I think will happen? I think they might. I could see some left-wing talk show host taking one for the team. They make a joke about it. Conservatives complain. And then Bill Maher or whoever is like, wow, all these conservatives were against cancel culture. And now they're trying to cancel me for making fun of their wheelchair-bound presidential candidate.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sort of let the chips fall where they may on whether or not he actually loses his job or not. But he's going to Bill, we want you to go out on the limb here and just, or not even Bill Maher. I'm kind of already forgetting this guy's name. Who's the one? Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel might also be the one who does it.
Oh, I could picture him doing it.
Right. He makes some joke about Greg Abbott's wheelchair, and then he just and then he doesn't say, he just lets it. And then all the Democrat media knows, don't say anything. Let Fox News say it first. Let Sean Hannity say it first. Yeah. And then as soon as he does, right, boom. Conservatives are hypocrites.
I can see that coming.
Moving on to libertarian news. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Nick Sarwark, who resigned from his chairmanship of the Libertarian Party back when Yo Jorgensen got the nomination, then tried to run for vice chair, then lost. He then tried to join the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire because, again, Free State Project. And then he lost again to the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, which has taken over the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. And hilariously, the Mises Caucus didn't actually run a candidate against Nick Sarwark for the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire's treasury. Nick Sarwark ran unopposed and lost 24-31 to none of the above.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer used car salesman.
Right, yeah. And so then they ran a runoff election. And then Nick Sarwark put out a bunch of tweets saying, listen, I didn't really want to win, all right? They just needed, every party needs to have a treasurer, and I just did it. Really?
I think he said it something like the law, like according to federal law or state law or some sort of law, there must be a treasurer. So basically, I was going to be a hero and take this role as treasurer to keep us from breaking the law. And then I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you want me to believe that the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire had a lack of qualified people to be their treasurer? I mean, granted, probably most other candidates might have failed the drug test or something, but the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire is not a small group, all right? It's it's not like you have 10 people and you just need anyone to take the spot. Nick Sarwark ran unopposed because they wanted to give him, the previous leadership wanted him to have a spot. And then none of the above. And then the Mises Caucus then just took over. So Nick Sarwark officially has no affiliation with the Libertarian Party.
It'll be interesting to see if this affects anything in 2020, whatever, 2024.
The thing is about the Libertarian Party is that it has the Libertarian Party is the least democratic party of all.
Yeah.
Its selection process.
Be.
Yeah,
As
right.
It should be.
Its selection process has literally.
What do you think is the most? The Republicans?
Probably, yeah. The Republicans just have direct primaries and caucuses, and there's no super delegates or anything like that. That's why Donald Trump got the nomination and Bernie Sanders didn't. Meanwhile, who heard of Joe Jorgensen? I mean, like, Joe Jorgensen winning the nomination for the Libertarian Party, that would have been like, I can't, well, it's hard because I'm trying to think of Republican primary people.
You don't know.
That I don't know. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me just look at the Republican primary.
I don't think there was anyone.
Okay. I got it. Imagine if Jim Gilmore, the former governor of Virginia, didn't show up until the very last debate. And then during the RNC primary, he got the nomination. Right? And a lot of our listeners are like, who's Jim Gilmore? Exactly. Jim Gilmore never appeared in the debate.
Yeah, Jim Gilmore is the Jeff Gustafson of the Republican Party, whatever his name is, the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Jim Jorgenstern.
Because I was going to say maybe Chris Christie, but people the thing is, I mean, with Republicans in general, we know who they are, right? Like we know.
The Libertarian voter base is very interesting. They were just inspired by this woman. She came in with her shoulder pads and her, very interesting makeup, and they said, this lady with the moon face, she's the one that's gonna rally the people.
Yeah. And again, Jo Jorgensen has been like a lifelong member of the Libertarian Party. She's done stuff. It's not even like Jo Jorgensen is not a real libertarian or has the wrong positions. I mean, she did during that cycle, but during back in the 80s.
She's a real libertarian. She's just barely a real person.
Exactly. She's a real libertarian.
Cutout.
Yeah, she's a real libertarian. She's a real hero, but she's not a real human being.
Yeah.
An absolute nobody. And that's because the Libertarian Party is the most elitist.
In a party of nobodies.
In a party of nobodies, that ironically probably makes her the most qualified.
Yes, exactly.
At least Gary Johnson, we knew who he was.
In a sense, she was the perfect representative of the Libertarian Party.
It really represents a Libertarian Party strategy for victory.
Socially awkward and strange, probably on the autism spectrum. Bad at messaging, bad at campaigning. She was like a community college professor. She had everything. She was like the mean libertarian.
Yeah. Think about it. Actually, well, no, because she's a woman, right?
She had a bad haircut.
Oh, she can't be the average libertarian because she's female. And so...
Do I have to tell you about the 3 founding mothers of liberty?
Who would that be? That would be Ayn Rand, Rose Wilder Lane, and...
Isabel Patterson.
Isabel Patterson. All right.
You got to be... Marcel, are you not reading up on your libertarianism.org? A production of the
Canal. Do they actually... Hold on. Does Reason actually count Ayn Rand as a founder of libertarianism?
Are you kidding? Reason is like the most pro-Ayn...
Right. But
they originally were an objectivist.
Yeah, right. They're called Reason. Yeah, right. Could you imagine going back in time and telling Ayn Rand? Yeah. Could you imagine going back in time and telling Ayn Rand that in the future libertarians will not only consider her a member of their group, but a founding mother?
She would call us hippies of the right.
Hippies of the right. I think the reason my Ayn Rand impression is so bad is because I'm not actually impersonating Ayn Rand. I'm impersonating the actress who played Carson Sand in that one rendition of Mozart Was a Red. Keith, are you a mystic? A mystic? Next thing is Substack. For those of you who are listening who haven't heard of this, which is fine. Now that we filtered out all the losers who think that, Dr. Seuss is a good person and the Defense Department doesn't hate them, now we just have the good listeners. There's this thing called Substack. It's okay. It's pretty underground.
It's the shortwave radio of being a journalist.
Yes.
Internet publication.
Yeah, people directly subscribe to you, and you release a certain amount of free articles and then premium articles that only subscribers can reach. And it's been a haven for... So Quillette is like the fake... It's where you go when you're not really canceled, but you like to pretend that you are.
If you're like Coleman Hughes, you go there to write about how, Thomas Sowell has some good points.
Yes. And then when you're really canceled, you go to Substack. Well, actually, no. So if you're fake canceled, you write for Quillette. If you're really canceled and you're not racist, you write for Substack. And if you're really canceled and you are racist, you write for Uns.
Yeah.
And that's how that's how it goes. So Substack is where you go when you get canceled and you didn't deserve it. And just to be, I say deserve as in are actually a heretic.
Deserve has nothing to do with it, Marcel.
Yeah, not any ethical judgment. Actually, it's really... I've noticed conservatives have been doing this. There's this one academic who was doing a presentation called "For Whom the Bell Curve Tolls," and right, and then the speech
just saw my eyes bug out of my head.
Yeah, and
I'm about to pull the plug on this episode.
Yeah, the school canceled his speech, and then he's talking about like. Just like, what happened to universe? So much for the tolerant left. The universe supposed to stand for free speech. They think for some reason that I want to do some talk about like IQ stuff and Charles Murray. Like, your talk is called "For Whom the Bell Curve Tolls." All right, you can't go out saying I'm a heretic, I'm a heretic, I'm a heretic, and then get mad when the left's heresy detector activates and like, hey, you're a heretic. You can't preach from our pulpit. It just doesn't make sense. And again, I know the kind of person I am, and this is why I don't affect surprise when certain things happen to me. I'm not going to be like, oh man, this neocon organization didn't want me to work for them because I said that Charles Lindbergh was a hero and, Irving Kristol was a communist infiltrator. It's like, yeah, dude, like, what do I expect is going to happen? And so the same deal, when you go around like making puns on Charles Murray's books.
It's almost as if you use the phrase blood and soil in a speech, and then you pretend that wouldn't ruffle any feathers.
Yeah, well, see,
what are you guys talking about? I'm just using a phrase that has no connotations.
Right. Although, again, I got it. I'm practically contractually obliged to jump in that he was simply pointing out that other people care about blood and soil. But you knew that. We're just making jokes. We're all friends here. So that's why you're not going to respond back to me. You're just going to let that stand because it's true. So anyway, Glenn Greenwald has moved to Substack. Michael Tracy has moved to Substack. Caitlin Johnson has moved to Substack. It's a pretty, funny enough, it's a pretty left-wing site. Oh, also, Mencius Moldbug has moved to Substack. Scott Alexander has moved to Substack. So it's mainly a place
John
for
McWhorter is now on Substack.
Yep. So
his new book called The Elect, which is like his book about analyzing the sort of woke, especially on race issues, as a religion. Mm-hmm. He, rather than delay the release of the book due to his other book about language, he decided to release it on Substack in the, like, how in the old days, a lot of people used to release books like, if you're Mark Twain or any kind of public intellectual, you would write a chapter for a magazine, and after 10 chapters, you'd go, put it together and make a book. So he's doing that on Substack, so you can get his book chapter by chapter over the next 6 weeks, and then later, when he actually has time to publish it as a book, you can buy the physical book. Mm-hmm. Just want to plug that because I love John McWhorter's work, even though I haven't bothered to subscribe to his Substack, but I'm not made of money or time. But all of you neats that listen to the show who are just jobless, rootless, and shiftless, but somehow have these stimulus checks burning a hole in your pocket, go subscribe.
So Shitlibs have been describing Substack as a transphobic bigotry factory. We're not going to actually humor this accusation, but what's important is Glenn Greenwald is showing how, he says, you can watch them formulate their tyrannical little plot in real time to contaminate Substack with their censorship pathology by pretending it's just about one writer. That's how they seize control. After that, every writer will be subject to their oppressive campaigns. When Silicon Valley
Jones strategy.
Right. When Silicon Valley united to deperson Milo and then Alex Jones, some objected. Obviously not on the ground that they like those people, but on the ground that it will expand rapidly inwards. Just 3 years later, left-wing and right-wing voices and sites are banned daily. And sure enough, he posts screen caps of like this tweet conversation of people indeed like practically just openly discussing